All right, it's 10/27/2020. I was just upstairs, and I was thinking about this. There was a time where, well, let's do it this way. When I first was going to Judy's house, and I could first start speaking. I started speaking, I'd wake up from naps and I'd ask her all sorts of questions. I remember going over to my grandmother's house. I would talk about Pegasus. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I see that horse again. Like, it just kind of flew that way. I was like, whatever. It was white with big wings. That would happen. And then Judy would have to look up. She's like, I don't know what a Pegasus is. And then my grandma was like, yeah, I think that has something to do with my side. She's like, because we had unicorns. But anyway, so I would ask lots of questions of whatever adults, not Linda and Lou, because they were useless and they were really bad at being able to give anything smart out. They knew nothing. So I looked forward to seeing the other humans that knew or at least interacted. I would go over to Judy's house, and somebody, I think it was Aunt Shelley, Cliffy Gunder Jr.'s wife, said to try the phone book, like a directory. Somebody had suggested that to her at work, like you look for your last name in the yellow pages or the Nynex, like the big book of phone numbers, and then you just start dialing strangers and asking them if maybe, because they have the same last name, they're maybe somehow related to you, and did they know anything? So I was all about 3 or 4, I think it was about 4. It was before kindergarten. And so I started dialing at the suggestion of Aunt Shelley, and I started asking people who were closely related in name if they knew how when I grew up, I would be able to find my betrothed or my mate or my human husband. And it was like crickets. And then Judy had to interact and try to help, because here's the 3 or 4-year-old just calling or cold calling the phone book at 3 and 4, looking for outside contact, first substantive contact with humans. Yeah, I tried the phone book. Again, they weren't really very gracious. One woman said I was something called a bon anniversaire child, and in Haitian, that means that I'm the evil witch, which is why, and then she said, well, did you try to reach out in your community? I said, well, what does that mean? And she said, well, do you belong to anything in your community? I go, I don't know what a community is. I was like, and I don't understand. I'm just learning to speak or talk. Judy's helping me. She's my adult. I said, could you hold on? And then I was trying to patch together a communication device between Judy, who was I used to call her my star mother. And then sometimes I'd hand her the phone. I go, you want to talk? Maybe it'd just be better if you talk directly. I mean, it was the comedy hour at Any Humans Awake and Alive and National Security. I'm just curious. Because then nobody had any good ideas other than community something, but nobody knew how to get into the community. And then we noticed that none of our names were in the phone book anymore by 1981 or 2. And then that sparked a whole family debate. And then we found out that Grandma came from the protest church where they stole the crown and were literally shitting on all of the children. And it was unbeknownst to all the kids that everybody apparently turned on Grandma, being Mariah, for some legend that apparently all of the protest and Episcopalian and all the thespians that claimed to be some kind of white family and helpful were communicating only with one another, not with us, because the fucking whites were just that fucking useful and horrible to us when we were when I arrived. But you know who's really helpful? Oh my God, the Mirzas. Yeah, look at that. They even picked up a Korean on their way over the threshold of where they weren't allowed. It was like the leader of Al Qaeda, or what's to be future Al Qaeda, Michael Mirza. We'll do club shout outs. And his little Korean Pueblo lady, Alice Mirza, that fucked up all sorts of shit in my lifetime with her all ladies IC exchange of like espionage, treason. I mean, Michael was reporting in to his club. Like he said, the Federation apparently, like they just arrived in Bayside at some point. I think shortly after the Bon Anniversaire call, because I'm pretty sure that Robin did not see them move in. I think she questioned them, but that was a little fugazi. Then nobody got a moving date. Nobody knew that Maria even moved. I started arriving in Maria's house. Apparently they told me that the Federation set them up with this house. They just arrived one day. I said, well, but did you pack your things? Like, how do you just move? Like, what does that look like? And she said, I don't know. We just got here one day and they said that you're up in the attic. You guys sleep up in the attic. We're going to take the room down here. I was like, wait, who said that? And she said, I don't know, some lady, some lady and man named Gina and George. They're part of the Federation that's setting us up in the house. My dad's going to be some kind of like big shot community leader now, and lead us into the future. I'm like, okay. So there's confession number one. I was also over their house once on New Year's Eve, apparently. I don't know how the fuck I got there. That happened a lot. And Michael came out in his wife beater, his boxer shorts, whatever used to keep the socks up around the mid-calf level, and he had a pan and a wooden spoon, and he went out the front door, and he's like, Happy New Year! And he's like, well, I'm a community leader. I thought I'd make a big make a big noise, because, baklava's here. That's what he used to call me. Apparently, there's some important piece with baklava and baklava. It's baklava. Right. And that has to do with some kind of really sweet pastry, which I don't quite get, but I know it's important. We slept out one night, Donna, Maria, and I, in the back, like they had a covered porch with some kind of like, I think it was like orange, and then it had wood paneling, the orange like tightly woven carpet, and we all slept out there one night, and Michael and Alice were arguing in the kitchen, which was, the wall was shared, after Michael called me baklava, and I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, well, I don't know. Apparently, I'm the head of some future terrorist organization, and you are like Princess Isis, and I know you don't know what that means, but apparently Alice has friends in really dark places that have been pulling out all the stuff since you've been born and not telling the rest of the leagues the full truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So I'm just having a conversation with my so-called wife and partner on one side of the wall, while the SS Nazi Soviet is on the other side of the wall, which I know you don't even know what that is. He's like, but I was told to call you a baklava because you actually are really sweet for those two titles, and to give you your new princess name when it comes to Alice, which is like, which is going to be Isis. And I go, Isis. And so Donna says to Maria, goes, Maria, did you just hear that? And Maria's like, hear what? Donna's like, when she said it, sounds like I exist, but like in a snake woman's voice. And Maria's like, go to sleep, Donna. She's like, I did hear that. She's like, but I'm just going to pretend like she's human like the rest of us after I talked to one of Mom's friends. So, yeah, again, there was no car rides. There was just like a beam me up, Scotty. Like, just beam the SS Nazi Soviet down in Al Qaeda and Korean, like, territory. Give her a whole bunch of scary names like Nazi, Soviet, ISIS, Princess ISIS, Queen ISIS, nobody knows, nobody gives a shit apparently, and have all the white people pretend that the kid doesn't exist and that there's some kind of big investigation going on, like as if the kid actually did something, when in fact we compromised our own star equipment. Oh my god, you wouldn't believe. We totally ostracized and outcast and shunned the good white kid for our own insecurities and idiocy. We told her there was no such thing as national security, there was no newsletter, there was no league, there was no phone number, there was no anything, just for her, for some reason on the East Coast. And then, oh, look at that, if the foreign invasion comes, some guy just shows up, he says he's from the Federation, future head community leader of nobody knows, and then we have the Korean Pueblo, the all ladies ICE edition of Alice, telling everybody that she was with one of the future Arabic leaders and one of the future SS Nazi Soviet headmaster. So she was cleared to go on her reports in order to get into some kind of library to get more future intel to then work her disgusting network of espionage by phone and totally mess up the linguistics in some Spinal Tap form. She also purposely cooked something called tripe, TRIPE, which is the intestines from the throat, like all the way down the stomach, the esophagus, all the way. Oh my god, she cooked it and then they ate it. Oh my god. I had to run outside. How do you eat, and why would you make that while I'm here? I spent a little bit of time outside in there, right outside the sunroom thing. I needed air. Or I spent time in the sunroom. I couldn't go back in. It was so vile. And she made the kids eat it. Oh god. Anyway, so that's Alice. Oh, and then Alice said, because I didn't have a clock. Not in the Bayside apartment. We didn't have a clock, and we did not have a clock in Cold Spring Harbor either. And then Alice said that she noticed that, or her friends noticed, that I didn't have any clocks in the house. So she had her friends send my mom an antenna message. She says that we call them like subliminal messages or like antenna, like, and we just put in a little order and it suggests something to your mom, and your mom goes out and she shops and she buys whatever it is that we suggest, and then we have it implanted in your house and make it look like it was her idea. And I'm like, wait, what? And Tana and Maria were like, yeah, see, we didn't, like, we thought, like, we thought that you would definitely get it since you're like the beam me up V, but we thought that was crazy. But what do you think? Like, yeah, and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. I was like, I gotta think about that. I was like, is that why she bought me that box, that clock with the earbud things, with the radio? And she's like, oh, so she did get it for you. And I'm like, yeah, I was wondering. I was like, she said that she thought that I would really like it. And I'm like, now why would you think that? I didn't even know to ask for such a device. Like, what do you need a clock for? I mean, you wake me up, or I get up for school, somehow I get up for school. I don't even remember how the fuck I get up for school. She's like, right, well, there's an alarm on it. Now the alarm will wake you up for school. Right, the alarm will wake me up for school. Right, okay. So, and then, like, it would play music, but, I mean, I didn't even know to ask that, or that there was even such a thing as a clock radio, or that I even needed one until my mom came home and said it was my idea. And I'm like, whoa, definitely not. I didn't even know what this was called. What is this called? Like, and then I had to question my mom, because it's like, stop putting words and ideas like it was my fault, lady. Like, I'm marking you down for like, that's a beseeched lie. I know it comes up somewhere in Humanville, but apparently all humans turned against me before I was even fucking born.